It's recording.
Cool. Well,
man, y'all let me know when y'all rolling, man.
Oh, we're rolling.
Oh, we rolling?
We're good.
Well, we're here.
We are here. Thursday Night Live.
Thursday Night Live. Lexington, Kentucky.
This is Brandon Arvay coming to you live from Thursday Night Live. But yeah, so seriously, thank you for doing this. I know this was like sort of spur of the moment. Well, we've been talking about doing this for a while, but like getting it ready, you know, it's sort of frantic out here amongst the people doing the thing.
Something a little bit different.
Yeah.
You don't see this every day. You don't see a podcast on the sidewalk of downtown Lexington. You don't see it.
Well, and that's one of the things I think that sets both of our podcasts apart, which I really enjoy. Like you're out there in the environment with people in a place that matters for them, whether it's like their arena where they perform or if it's at a building on school campus or something else or in their place, whatever. And I think that matters. I mean, you know, it helps get new views. I think it keeps people interested as far as like, wow, wonder where they're going to be for this next thing,
episode.
You know?
What's next? Like, well, I wonder what they got coming up next. That's the
right?
point of it.
Like literally that. And I mean, coming out here and setting up, it's like just being out here, you know, I say this on my podcast all the time, like the Lexington Business Show is the top of the funnel for Brandon 78 and the video productions and social media stuff that we do.
Yeah.
And being out here in the world with people with our gear, now they see it and like Big Mike literally rolls up. He's like, "Hey, you got a business card?
Yeah,
I want to do commercial work."
Business card.
Like lead gen, you know, we're out here in the world doing the thing. So
and that's
it's
how
fun.
It should be though. Like you get to interact with people, you know, people get to see what you kind of do, you know, what we do, you know, as podcast hosts, as business owners, they get to see what we're doing on the side. So. Yeah.
Well, and obviously you've been killing it because you've been going really, really strong. I've been dropping the ball last couple of weeks, just like.
Oh, don't say that.
Woo! Admin work has been crazy, which is great. Yeah. But so talk to me about like what's going on with what's next.
So what's next? Like I just launched my radio show, which is What's Next Kentucky. It's gonna be basically about what's happening in our community, culture, music, sports. We're gonna be talking about all those stuff, and then what's happening in Lexington, Kentucky, right? I'm not the only host for the show. Malik Winfrey, who's supposed to be here, he's not here. Shout out to Malik. I don't know where you're at.
Thanks, Malik, for not being here.
Got to be here, but we actually recorded our last show last week, so we're gonna be on Thursdays at 9 a.m. Starting next week. So that's
how do you enjoy that?
It's different. Is
it hard, like being live?
Yeah, it's hard, but I would say the podcast definitely prepared me because I wasn't always in person. Starting out, as you know, I used to do it, you know, through video, and that definitely helped me, you know, through video chat. That definitely helped. So I would say like it's hard. It's definitely hard. The first episode was hard, but it's a learning process. So,
what was the most challenging part of getting started doing radio?
Just the little things like how do you start? What can you say? What can you not say on the show? Right? I would say that it's the analytics that really stick out to me. As far as like producing the show, the easiest part is just being able to, you know, come up with ideas and then talk.
Yeah.
Right. That's the easiest part. You can just talk and obviously you got to be mindful of what you say. But
how'd that even come to be? Like, did you reach out or did they reach out?
It's crazy because they actually didn't reach out. I reached out. I believe I was talking. I can't remember the lady. Her name. I met her through my podcast, and she was like, "Hey, you should try radio," because she used to be a radio host.
Okay.
So that's kind of how that got into play, and I was like, "Okay, let me throw a quick email and introduce myself, and hopefully, you know, I get an opportunity." And I'm actually doing the opportunity now, so I'm excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So when did you reach out? Because it seemed like we've been, I've seen you at least once a month for the last few months with the networking stuff.
Yeah, I love your networking stuff.
So,
I appreciate
that.
A lot of people don't know about that. You know, you're starting a brand new culture here in Lexington, and we need it as a community because Lexington, I tell people all the time, it's like you got a lot of talent here. You know, as far as content creation, as far as business owners, entrepreneurs, and even musicians. Like, it's a lot of talent that's unknown. And
there's a ton of stuff that goes on here that I have no idea that it's even going on.
Yeah.
And I'm only starting to see what really what Lexington really is all about. You know,
for sure. I want to ask you this, Brandon. It's like you create you're building a network here in Lexington. Why is that so important to you?
You know, selfishly, for personal brands, to allow me to do whatever I might want to do. I mean, we're living in such a social world where everything is on the record online. Yeah. Where you could build massive reputation if you put the work into it.
Be consistent too.
Yeah. It's like, you know, to take care of a family of 4, you know, you want to make sure that you have that revenue coming in so you can do that, right? And help them live their life to the fullest as well. So being able to pivot and do whatever you want off the back of having a reputation, off the back of having a network and, you know, relationships with people. So that's important. Right now, that's, you know, the Lexington Business Show. That's Brandon 78 and the things we're doing there.
You guys got to tune in to Lexington Business Show. All my viewers, you guys make sure if you live in Lexington or you're a Kentucky resident, Lexington Business Show is the one it's the podcast to watch. It's the show to watch.
Well, I appreciate it.
It's amazing, man. So y'all make sure you guys go check that out.
Well, and the Lexington Business Show really came about to be, you know, a thing to really highlight what's going on here with interesting people, whether it's a business or an individual. So obviously that's why you came on. We did Big Blue Peddler riding around here.
That was amazing.
During some lunch hour. I think it was about a year ago or so, wasn't it?
Why, and we agreed that we were like, we're going to come back. And I remember you talking to me about it when you came on my podcast. You were like, hey, in 1 year, let's come back together and do something. And we're actually doing it now. So you know, I hope we can keep that going, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would love to do this on a somewhat regular basis. You know what I mean? Check in and share content and all that stuff. Yeah. And it's like, what caught my eye about you is with what's next, you know? I mean, I didn't really understand that story about it starting in school and then just sort of carrying on. So, you know, kudos to you for
that.
Doing something that started as a simple school project and now it's like a serious endeavor, and now you're on the radio. So, I mean, if people aren't checking out what's next, they're missing out, you know? Especially recently, you're really sitting down with a lot of the heavy hitters in the UK ecosystem.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, who's like your favorite interview?
I hate that
in the last little bit.
I hate that.
Or maybe like I hate that question too, and I hate that I just asked it. What's like your favorite moment, maybe?
Favorite moment
recently?
That's a little bit easier. I would say having a live show. Kind of like this, but, you know, with the sit-down audience. I had a live show.
Where'd you do it again?
So I did it at University of Kentucky in the Student Center.
Okay.
So it was in the Cats Den. You know, Cats Den is basically where the students hang out. You know, it's a study location. They hang out, play pool. So it's kind of like a...
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. So I did an episode there with 2 track players and I had an audience. And that's probably the most impactful moment for me because it was a big step for me, being able to go away from what I kind of do, you know, pre-recorded episodes to go into a live audience sit-down episodes.
And I can't recall if I asked you this before, but like, what does all of this matter to you? You know, you start with a school project that then expands, and then now the radio, and then now you're hanging out with some of the biggest athletes in what they do. Why does this matter to you?
I think it matters because it's like, I want to be able to do something that has an impact on people, right? And I've seen it already, and I've been a year in, and I've seen such a dramatic impact on the people that I've been around and the people that I don't even know, right? I have a lot of people, and you share it with me as well, because a lot of people come up to you and be like, "Hey, man, I want to come on your podcast," or "How do I start up a podcast?" You know, so it's just, I would say it's like creating a pathway for anyone else to get into the field or find passion in whatever they want to do. So that's probably the most important thing to me, is that I'm creating a pathway for not only the younger generation, but anybody who's walking the street, that whether they see us like talking here, they could be like, "Hey, maybe I could do my own thing. Maybe I could create my own business. Maybe I can create my own podcast." That's kind of why it matters so much to me. So
yeah. Well, you know, the thing that I really enjoy, and I hope this comes across the right way, but the thing that I really love about you and what's next is there are not a lot of podcasts in the world that have people that look like you hosting the podcast.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like,
having the conversations with the people that you're having the conversations with. And I think that's a really impactful and important thing. So kudos to you for making it work.
I was going to say, as an African American a person of color, you don't, me growing up, I didn't see a lot of, people like myself being hosts on a radio show or a podcast or any type of thing like that. It was always, you can be an athlete, or you can rap, or you can get into music, or whatever the case may be. So being able to create this path for the younger generation, for people that look like me, that means so much to me, because I'm creating another pathway for them. So
yeah,
that's amazing. That's why I want to keep it going, because I don't feel like I have pressure, but I feel like I'm doing something good for not only myself. It's more than just myself.
Yeah. What ways do you see your impact right now?
What race?
What ways do you see what race are you impacting the most right now? I don't know. No, what ways are you impacting people? How do you know that the impact is coming through? Because that's something I think about for myself, but I want to hear you.
They're asking, Brendan, they're asking questions. Like, when you ask questions, it means you're being inquisitive. You're looking, you're thinking about it. You're having that second thought of like, okay, maybe I have a chance at doing this thing, or maybe I should do this. You're getting inspired slowly. Mm-hmm. I think that's what I'm seeing. As far as like what I care about, that's the main thing. It's just for people to be inspired. For a young kid to be like, oh, I don't have to be a basketball player. I don't have to be a football player. Although this guy gets all these guests, but look at the host himself. He's doing something that he loves to do. So it's like, whatever you love to do, like don't be hesitant in doing it. Just fucking do it.
Yeah. So okay. What's the tagline of What's Next? The motivational podcast of your life,
yeah.
Right? Okay. I've had this conversation with one or two other guests as well that are very focused in like the motivational sort of space.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, what's your take on like the term toxic positivity?
Toxic positivity?
Yeah.
Is that even a thing?
I don't know.
Is it bad?
This is me objectively trying to ask of like, if I open up TikTok right now, open up Instagram, there's a lot of like, especially in the videographer, video space, whatever, there's a lot of reels out there of guys and girls, mostly guys, with like inspirational quotes over top of them, just like putting their camera gear together and whatever. It's like, don't stop, whatever. Like the movie voice with the inspirational quote,
I've seen it.
and they're putting their gear together.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, where does that come from? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
I think
I don't know.
It has to be a good thing, because it's kind of like the way you look at it. Like, how do you look at it?
And what does that say about me that I led off with calling it toxic positivity? Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say
we're gonna read into that one too.
It's my first time hearing about toxic positivity, but I don't believe in toxic positivity. I think you can be as positive as you can be. Like, you should be positive. That's why we're here as human beings, man, is to enjoy life. You're here one day, tomorrow you could be gone. I could be gone next week and I don't even know it. So what's the point of being negative about something that doesn't even matter? You know what I'm saying? Like,
for sure.
Yeah, live your life to the fullest, man. Just be positive. It's whatever.
And I think the toxic positivity quote comes from, it is.
Yeah, being positive, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard.
Well, I'm such an overthinker and overanalyzer of everything that like I get in my head of everything, and I ask questions like, is being positive, is there a negative to that?
To being positive.
Is there a positive to being negative?
Yeah.
And a lot of times my 2 cents on sort of the lay of the landscape with like some of the positive things going on is, where does that really come from for a lot of people? Is there something underlying where they're really talking to themselves?
Yeah.
And there's something bad. Like, where does that really come from? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting.
So I'm just saying that's where my brain comes from. So I'm going to ask you, like, where does motivation come from to you? Why does it matter to you to put out this kind of content?
We all need it. We all need motivation. In life, there's times in life where you're stuck. You know what I'm saying? So what's going to push you to be motivated? Like, imagine, like, I say this all the time. Imagine if motivation wasn't a thing. What's the purpose of life then? Like, if we have no motivation in life, then why are we here? We're just living just to live? Like,
right.
I don't get that. Yeah, I want to pick your brain. Like, what do you think about that? Like, what if motivation wasn't even a thing?
Well, so I might take this in a slightly different direction from the motivation part.
Yeah.
But I've thought about this question in terms of where technology and AI are at the moment. Because we're living in a world right now where it's like you could go to ChatGPT, type something in and get an answer. And it's like, okay, so what's the ripple effect of this? Well, we all have our job in our society, right?
Yeah.
It's like somebody works at a gas station so somebody else can get gas so they can go and be a farmer so somebody else can eat.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like
there's
a
this
cycle.
thing.
Yeah, it's a cycle. Yeah.
And so we all have our role to play. But when you start with automating things with mechanical devices, with automation, and then you start taking the intellectual, like the automation is the physical. Then you take the intellectual part out with ChatGPT and other stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
Then it's like, so what's the role and purpose of a person? You know what I mean? Because if our job right now is to do the labor or have the ideas and that's taken away, then I don't know. Then it's like, maybe it's just to live and be a person and like just do whatever you want and not think it through the lens of my purpose is to work to get money so I can eat food so my body doesn't shrivel up and die. You know?
Yeah, that
I don't
doesn't
know.
really make sense.
Like, anyway, that's where my brain goes with all of that stuff. Like, what is the purpose of life, right? So,
how's it going?
There
he is. Ladies and gentlemen, there he is.
You want to come in or you want to chill? Okay, all right, all good. But yeah, so, man, like sitting down here, I'm thinking, I told Lance before we started, I was like, I don't even know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah,
he's like, man, you guys do this for a living. Of course, you're just going to figure it out.
I know your style. Your style is so different from mine. You kind of just like let the conversation flow. And I love that. That's something that I'm trying to improve on is let my episodes just flow rather than having so much structure. But I love that. I love that about Lexington Business Show. It's like a conversation that you're having. So.
Well, I appreciate that. And sometimes I think maybe I should have some more structure to things. But, you know, it's like at the end of the day, I really want it to be a fly-on-the-wall experience where it's like we're just talking. Yeah. And if you happen to walk by, like tune in and listen, like cool, you know?
It should be
but let
like
it just happen organically. Because I tend to get bothered over time with structured stuff where it's like, here's a 20-second intro, I'm sitting down today with this person. This is their background. Why don't you give me the origin story? And then, so what did you think? You know,
so
like
you're not
that,
a fan of that. Okay.
That I enjoy it. And is always the answer for me. It's like I like and appreciate all of the formats.
Then again,
because I get consistency with that, right? I know what to expect, which I think is useful as a host because now you know what information you need to provide. You know roughly how long it's going to run. You know the direction that it's going to go. That helps the guest be comfortable as well, right? Helps the listener know what to expect as well.
Yep.
And I probably put my listeners in the most uncomfortable spot because they don't know what they're getting. They know it's me, and they might know the person's name if they happen to look at the title. I don't even do an intro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, but at the same time, I think, and I put the guest in a hot seat too because they don't know what I'm going to ask.
They don't know what you're going to ask.
I mean, I tell them in an email before, like, hey, we'll probably talk about your business, but mostly it's about you. I don't know what I'm going to ask.
I was just going to ask you. I was like, how do you cope with that? Because I as a podcast host, I get a few guests that, you know, hey, give me the questions before you ask. I want to see them.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, how do you balance that? How do you cope with what's your way of doing things?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a number of people ask, like, hey, are you going to send over some questions? Because I'm pretty nervous. But I just tell them, like, it's literally just me and you talking, and you've had conversations before, right? Yeah. Like, it's just conversation.
It's just a conversation.
You know? And I think, you know, back in my my classical music days, in recording and being in front of cameras and with mics and all that kind of stuff, that shit would freak me out. Because my job was over here playing an instrument, wasn't this.
It's a real thing.
But now that this gear is part of the job, I don't even see it.
It's like natural. Yeah, it's like, natural. It's natural.
My brain is partly on talking to you, partly on, am I going to ask him something? On, am I holding the mic in a way that's going to make the best sound quality? Is it 2 inches? Is it 3 inches? Is it like angled it away? Is, you know?
Yeah, it's the
little like, things. Is the camera going to still keep me in focus because in center? You know what I mean? Like all those things I'm thinking about as a job and not as like a scary thing. So that's where I go with
that's
that.
Awesome.
But
I want to ask you, now, you've been in this job for a while now, right? You asked me what's been my favorite, guest so far. I want to ask you what have you learned? Because we interviewed a lot of people and we've learned a lot. But what have you learned over the course of the years doing this Lexington Business Show?
I've learned that people are all basically the same, and we just have our different ways of approaching the world with the same skill sets, needs, and I don't know, philosophies, if you will, where it's helping. I mean, it's going to sound so cliche, but these things are cliche for a reason because they're real in some respects. Networking, whether you're doing a podcast or if you're with the other podcasts with Fully Unscripted with Todd Lantern and Cash Daniel, it's we understand that networking and what that does for us. They need the production side that I can provide. I can benefit from the relationships and the brand names that they have. So there's that. There's talking to restaurateurs in the area that you start listening to the conversations, and it's the restaurant goes to the local farm to get their tomatoes, because that's also a partnership and a networking opportunity, because the tomato farm can say, we're in that really badass restaurant downtown that everybody knows. They get to say, we have something that's local, we're keeping the money local, which is important, and all that stuff. Are we good? If it's on, we're good. We got one light. What do we got? 2? Oh, we're good. All right. But yeah, does that make sense? That partnership idea with the
Absolutely.
A restaurant and a farm, or everybody needs everybody in some way.
Yeah.
We're all. This is a big enough town to where there's plenty of opportunity for everybody to have business and to do great work, and you're not really in competition. But it's small enough where you can know everybody too. That's what I'm learning.
Yeah, you're going a little bit on about Lexington. What do you love most about Lexington, Kentucky? And I'll kind of feed off of you there.
What do I love most about Lexington?
LEX, ladies and gentlemen. LEX.
If I give you a top 3, it might be the geography, because of what is offered here. In no time, you can be in horse country and surrounded by 500 horse farms.
Yeah.
In no time, you could be on one side of the city to the other, from an industrial area to a more hip kind of part of town, to a more, financial center kind of location, Yeah. So the ability to get places quickly, because time matters. I like that.
You think we could get places quickly here in Lexington?
Well, I would love to speak to the traffic engineering department a little bit and try to understand how in the world do we process making sense of any of this. But that's actually, I thought about that yesterday. I was like, this is infuriating.
It's bad.
Driving down Citation Boulevard and seeing Georgetown Road backed up past New Circle Road for people trying to get into Georgetown at the end of the day, and vice versa in the morning.
It's ridiculous.
Is ludicrous.
It's ridiculous.
So I would love to pick up somebody's brain about that. Is it limited finances? Is that what keeps the infrastructure small?
Someone's got to figure that out.
Because I feel like by the time we've expanded to adapt to what we have, it's already too late, because we're still expanding past where we're at, and we're not going to see that funding again for a while.
It's going to be too far gone. Yeah.
Look at I-75 getting... I haven't seen any plans for what they're actually doing, but I surmise it's like a fast lane or a what do you call
express lane?
Yeah, like an express lane.
Yeah.
From 115 to 104 or however long that is. We
need something.
Guess that's what that is.
We need something.
But by the time it's in, it's still going to be too late.
Yeah.
So, I'm just in Tate's Creek Road. That's a nightmare. You said you saw some stuff on Richmond Road on the way here.
Richmond Road,
Lance saw stuff on 75 South coming from Cincinnati.
It's every day.
It's wild.
Every day. It's every day. It's crazy.
But I think that highlights a little bit of it takes the village, right? And as aggravated as we might be with traffic, we have to do something about it besides just be upset about it.
Yep.
So we have choices. We could pay more in taxes. That could be what we do. It could be a financial contribution.
Got to make
it
some
could
type
be
of move or sacrifice.
It could be going to the city council and putting it on their radar, because they might not even realize it.
They might not even know.
You know,
Yeah.
I know that like a Tates Creek Road with however many, 30,000 cars or whatever a day or whatever that is, like they probably know that one. But there's probably other areas of things that aren't on their radar. Mm-hmm. So speaking up could be another thing.
That's an option.
I don't know, depending on your skill set, get your butt out there and work. I don't know.
That works too.
What are we allowed to do? I don't know. But does that make sense? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, it's just, you asked and I go back to like, what am I learning? It's just like, it really does take a village. I think we're learning this as a society right now.
Yeah.
Where we have what looks like very divided politics, what looks like very divided morals and principles. But I think if we leave some of the loud voices out and we just listen to the core of what's going on, I think what's happening is we're starting to see what we actually do agree on, that we're actually not that different. That what you think is terribly different from me,
it's not that much.
You didn't know that I actually agree with you because you're over there yelling.
Yeah.
And so when we stop yelling and we listen
to each other, man.
We go, oh,
come on.
I understand where you're coming from. You got a different background, and I didn't know that that's how people of a certain background think or where they come from. Just like other people wouldn't know. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, like, that's what I'm learning is like...
I think it's okay to disagree. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to understand it's okay if we have our difference. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to like, oh, I hate you now. I hate you now.
Yeah.
We disagree on something. I hate you now.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, it's okay. We're gonna have our differences, but that's okay as long as we're listening to each other and respecting that's all that should really matter, to be honest.
And we're learning how to actually talk to each other too.
That's the problem.
In a lot of ways, we're not, but in a lot of ways, on the back end of the chaos that we see right now, I think is going to be a lot of learning how to deal with each other.
Yeah.
Because right now it's very divided, and we're in a space where it's like, well, you can go online and find people that agree with you and live in your little vacuum and bubble. But that's not healthy because it doesn't inform you, and it's it's pinning us at odds when we really should be together.
Yeah.
There's so many layers to it. You see people that are looking at China and saying they're stealing our IP. Yeah. It's like, well, if we're going to band together and keep our intellectual property as American intellectual property that doesn't get ripped off, then we're going to have to quit the squabbling and come together somehow.
Yeah.
To do that, we're going to have to get over certain things. That's at a big level, right? Like smaller little levels, like around here, it's like you got some people that are sharing a strip mall or a building together, and they're upset that the tenant next door, that their business is successful, and their customers are parking in their parking spaces, and they're beat up about this. It's like, I get it, but at the same time, let's understand that their success is driving foot traffic potentially to you. That's helpful.
That goes back to that.
Let's go find the positive parts here, right?
It goes back to being positive.
And if you don't, if you got a problem too, don't be afraid to speak up.
Yeah,
that's the part that I think right now
we don't have to be negative
doing
all the time. Not even like you don't have to be negative at all. Like, there's always try to look at the bright side of things.
Yeah,
because there's always a bright side, no matter what. So
yeah, man, I always appreciate the conversation with you.
Man. Yeah,
and I do want to ask you about the networking thing. I know that our gear is probably going to end up dying because we're out here and being portable right now. So maybe let's take like 5 more minutes if that's cool with you.
That's fine.
Networking events. So this is totally social or selfish. Jeez.
Yeah.
But I want to pick your brain about what I can't even remember what I called it. I changed the name.
Creatives.
The Kentucky
Kentucky
Creative Collective. I've changed the name.
You switched it up
because somebody else had Kentucky Creatives.
Okay.
And I don't think it matters that our names are so similar.
Yeah.
I think they care, but I don't.
Yeah.
Because we do different things. So anyway, my idea. Oh yeah, we're out here. We're out here doing the thing.
Lex Vegas.
All right. So the reason for starting the networking group was Brandon 78 over the years has narrowed our focus.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of things we don't do. Graphic design, website stuff, all that stuff. We don't offer any of that.
Yeah.
And I have people that ask a lot, like, hey, do you also do this? No is a pretty common answer. But I didn't know who to really refer to do those things. So I needed a mechanism to do that. So I wanted to be selfish and create a networking event so I can meet people.
Which is great.
It would lead to help for me, help them.
Help me as well. I mean, being able to meet all types of people in the Lexington community, it's been grand. If you're in the Lexington community and you're into content creation or building your own brand or whatever the case may be, Kentucky Creatives, Collective Creatives.
Yep.
Kentucky Collective Creatives, check it out. I'm going to drop the link in the description, so you guys make sure you go check that out if you want to join. We have monthly meetups, where we come in and we just network. We just talk about what we have, what ideas we have planned and what we've been doing. But it's a really cool scene. So
well, and I appreciate you coming to all of them as well, because showing up and being consistent, I think, helps to grow as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And
it's a place for us to network, not just for jobs, but to meet other people that think like us, because we're weird and we think creatively, and a lot of other people don't understand that.
Necessarily think like that. Yeah.
And so it's fun to have a place where you could go and kind of riff with people that think in a similar way.
I love it, man.
And too many networking events in this area want to collect money from you and use it as a money-making idea. And I'm like, I'm fine playing the long game and making money together over time. Not to say like pay $15 at the door or whatever. I mean, if we could get some sponsors to throw, they want to bring some food or some drinks or whatever.
That helps.
And we could say like, hey, tonight's networking event is brought to you by Easton Tap and Table.
That'd be a nice perk.
Betsy and Matt. That would be cool. Grab some food, bring it over. We talk about it.
No, it's great. I love it. Man.
Yeah, like something super low key, just so we can hang out.
Just hanging out.
But I was going to ask you, like, do you think we should vet that a little bit more?
What do you mean vet?
Like, should there be any sort of screening process about people that come, or should it be like super wide open, like it has been, and just be whoever?
Whoever. And the reason why I say that is because obviously, number one, you never know who's going to show up. That's the obvious point. But to really get into details, like everyone should be able to connect with anybody, regardless of what field they're in. Whether they're in content creation, whether they're a business owner, whether they're a kid in high school who likes to take photos or whatever the case may be, they should have that access to be able to network and come to a meetup and be like, hey, my name's John.
Yeah,
I'm into photography. Are you into photography too? Oh, cool, awesome.
Right.
And get that connection, because you never know. Like I say it all the time, Brandon. It's like me meeting you has brought me into a different stratosphere, right? A different stratosphere of connecting with others and being able to do something like this. This would never happen if I didn't get to reach out to you and meet you. And you get it every day because you show it to me. People reaching out to you and saying, hey, Brandon, I'm this guy. I love what you're doing. And that interaction, that small interaction, just means so much. You don't know what that can do for a person going forward. So that's my main thing.
I mean, I like it. You see, my shirt says no thanks. I'm learning to say no, or no thank you.
No,
sorry.
No thank you.
I don't even know my own shirt. I'm not looking at it.
No thank you.
No thank you.
No thank
it's
you.
polite, but also forward. No thank you.
No thank you.
But learning to say no is an important thing. Over time as you
especially for yourself.
Yeah. So, learning to prioritize and everything else. So that the shirt is there to remind me of that.
No thank
And that's where the impetus to that question of like, should we do anything to limit who comes? I don't know. Like, I'm just asking a question, so I appreciate the feedback.
No problem, man.
But man, this is great. And I appreciate you coming out here and doing this. I know that, you got a crazy busy day and then to chill out here after.
Yeah.
And especially thank you to my young family for their patience and me being out here so late.
Yep.
So, anything else you want to dive into just real quick?
I think we hit a lot of different points, man. I'm excited for this one to come out. Like I said, guys, check out Lexington Business Show. It's a great show to watch.
And What's Next?
And What's Next podcast as well.
And What's Next Kentucky?
Kentucky Radio.
On what's the station?
93.9 Radio Lex.
And what day, time?
So Thursday, 9 a.m. I got myself and my co-host Malik Winfrey. Hey, Malik, we're gonna get him in here. We're gonna get him
Malik, come here real quick.
It's my co-host. I'm just introducing you to the camera, man. This is our co-host, Malik Winfrey, man. Decided to come on. So y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, okay? We're going to be coming Thursdays, 9 a.m., 93.9 FM, me and this guy. So
Excited.
I'm excited.
I'm very excited.
So how do you enjoy the show so far?
I think it's definitely exciting. It's something new. Normally from being behind the scenes, we're here on the podcast and just being able just to give a little bit of my opinion, just discussing things that I kind of already know, just easily, and I feel comfortable, especially just with this guy right here. You know, he leads the way, and you know, he's just whatever he could teach me along the way, I'm willing to listen and learn. So we just enjoy ourselves.
Cool,
I was
man.
gonna say I get asked this a lot of times. It's like a lot of people like, oh, why Malika? Why you know, you decided to do it with co-host. Obviously, doing it with the co-host is it definitely helps you. But you know, Malik, he's been there, you know, throughout majority of our episodes, working behind the scenes, and I've noticed I've got to be able to notice his connection with our guests. You know, after episodes, him just having conversations with our guests and letting them feel even more comfortable than me by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like he's really good at that. So me picking up on that and being able to say, hey, you know, I think that he might have an opportunity to maybe be in this field. So that's me just, you know, trying to bring along people that I think that are, you know, reasonable
awesome
to have on. Yeah.
Well, cool. Sweet.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you guys again for doing this, and we'll have to do it again. I like doing it on a Thursday. I think this is kind of fun.
Yeah, this is cool. This is different. Like I said, you don't see this, man.
And I thought the music might be too loud, but you can't even hear anything at the moment.
Cool.
So this is cool.
There's a whole lot of people out there.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks, buddy.
No problem, man. No problem. Y'all tune in.
Episodes and exclusive content. Subscribe to What's Next with Rio.